And we've often heard that in the industry in this context that identity is the perimeter, and sometimes I feel even that perimeter sort of seems to be dissolving. So, what does that change mean? I mean, you did touch upon the identity piece, but help us go deeper in this. What does this new identity as a parameter really mean? How did it complicate securing it?
Thanks. And this is, I think, many organizations are kind of dealing with right now, this complexity. I would like to highlight few areas. Imagine any organization who has adopted to multi-cloud environment. Now they have, let's say, for example, key player or the leaders in a cloud, AWS, Azure, GCP. They have, let's say, all these three providers or the cloud service provider. Now, if we look at for just per se, AWS, their own language of IAM, and they have their own model. And same Azure has its own model. GCP has its own identity and access model. A simple example in IAM for AWS, you have roles and policies, while in Azure, those are called role-based access control, while in GCP, these are like IAM binding, service accounts, whatnot. These terminologies are very different in these different cloud providers, and people and organizations are using it. And then security team must learn, manage, and all these multi-cloud environment and understand all these languages. Basically, what does this mean? Role means in AWS, and what is role-based access? Is it equal to some IAM bindings in GCP? That itself to solve that problem or understand it's complex. Then imagine now previously we were having these service accounts only. Now we have accounts for bot. We have a lot of Kubernetes and other containers and these API-based IDs which are being used to deploy the codes, and these are workload identities. This is another terminology which is now being introduced into identity and access management space is workload identities. Now there are these too many identities and there is too much access all over the place and we have very little visibility, because if you have to have centralized visibility, unless until you have some centralized identity and access management or a governance tool to have that visibility, it's hard to kind of correlate those access and gain that visibility. Now what kind of risk is it involves when, so first is your least privilege breaks down. Basically you don't have those over permissioned access control in place, because these are spread all over the place. How we can achieve or how we can do or solve some of these areas is we can talk a little bit more on that, but this is another like complex, as I said, like problem to solve, and there are a lot of manual processes is still being adopted by many organizations, because overnight cloud adoption has increased and companies came up with their own IAM model. Same, some other products came into the market, but they were not fast enough, even in some cases, to kind of adapt to that kind of growth which cloud environment has seen, to kind of cater the requirement for all different kind of cloud providers in one shot. Even many products currently in the market, they might be very good in supporting, let's say, one particular cloud provider, which is AWS, which is the most popular one, or then other providers, other vendors are working on to catch up on other providers and providing solutions for that. So that's why it is a has become a very big, I will say, problem for many organization, multi-cloud adoption. I will say in nutshell, the rapid adoption, then the microservices and automation and DevOps processes. So, and security teams are pretty much lagging behind and catching up on to that engineering speed that has provided this amazing technology. So I will say IAM went from IT admin task to the core security problem domain or solving mode.
Yeah, well said. Identity really made that leap, and on some people that change kind of snuck up on them. Others saw it coming, but it nevertheless still stays complex. Also, the fact that it's not straightforward to manage one cloud. So when you start thinking about a multi-cloud environment, given difference of not just terminology but how you go about doing a certain thing, right? It becomes even more interesting because the organization is still trying to unify how it manages, the identities, the life cycle, and the access there, not just for humans but for non-humans as well, which has also become such an important deal. And yeah, then you've got AI agents who are, I don't know, they're not human to me, but they tend to display those traits sometimes.